I got some things to say about this. And I figure, it's going to be about September 11th, and today is September 11th. And I found a very interesting video on YouTube that basically someone uploaded the live footage of one of those silly morning shows like Good Day New York or whatever, as they're doing their silly, goofy little show. Um, they break in with, what was happening in New York at the time. Or actually, I think they were filming this in New York at the time. Hold on. Now I've been watching this since last night. So now, first of all, I just want to say rest in peace to everyone who died that day. My father's firehouse. Now, my father worked at at 218 in Brooklyn. He worked in, I think it was Bushwick and Engine Company 218. They went out there, but they were coming all the way from Brooklyn. And I think they only lost one person. My father's fire department. My father was retired. My father was dead at the time. By the time this happened, my father was already dead. He would have been he would have been very pissed off about this. I can tell you that much. Um, but yeah, lots of firemen. And here's another thing. Nobody thought those buildings were going to collapse. That don't make a whole lot of sense. I'm not a structural engineer. But let me tell you something. Firemen don't go into a building that's about to collapse. These are people who do this for a living. They know what they're doing. Um, but anyways, that's all I'm gonna say about that. A lot of strange things happened that day, and you're gonna see one of them right in this video, right on film, live as they filmed it. I find it a little strange. Another thing that's a little strange is the guy who owned the World Trade Center. His name was Larry Silverstein. I think it was a couple of weeks before that happened. He had just bought a new insurance policy which covered terrorist acts, and he made out like a bandit from that whole thing. I think he got paid something like 4.5 billion. He somehow the insurance company had to pay him more for some reason. Something he ended up making like 4.5 billion. Worked out great for him. Um, Another thing, but this guy's just really lucky. I gotta say, very lucky guy. He every day he ate breakfast apparently in the North Tower. I think on the 80 or 91st floor or something. Every day he did that, but not that day. His wife just happened to set him up for some sort of doctor's appointment or something, and so lucky for him, he just happened to have to go to the doctor that day. Luckiest guy in the world. Um, a lot of people got lucky with the stock market right before this happened. It was almost like people knew that, I think it was American Airlines stock was about to plummet. A lot of people, a lot of people predicted exactly what was going to happen weeks before it happened, according to the way the stock market was acting. I'm not a stockbroker personally. Those things don't hold my attention, but I've seen enough videos on it. What another funny thing is, it's kind of hard to find those videos nowadays. I don't know why. We'll see what happens. But anyways, let's watch this video. This is very, very, very interesting, which is really
Howard Hughes lived the American dream. He was wealthy beyond belief, dated beautiful movie stars, and made records.
different world. The whole world was a different place at this point. They're just talking about their silly little Howard Hughes and the affairs he had, and the whole world was a different place. The whole world is about to change in a few minutes here.
Record-breaking flights. But the man who could have it all for years just wanted to be left alone. Because of that, much of his life has remained a mystery until now. Author Richard Hack uncovers America's first billionaire and his...
Look at him, he's all excited to be on TV, to sell his book or whatever he's doing. Look at him.
And
all right, we're going to skip through most of this just because But it's interesting to me how different the world was back then. Like, look, it was such an innocent place. You know what I mean? Nobody had any conspiracy theories. Everybody trusted everything, you know.
He was a famous film producer.
Of germs,
Yes.
perhaps.
Firms, but mind you, it was a time that there were.
This is a special report from News Channel 4.
Good morning, everybody. I am Jane Hansen in the News Channel 4 studio this morning to bring you some news. We are looking at a picture now of the World Trade Center, and we have an eyewitness on the telephone who tells us that he has seen an airplane crash into the World Trade Center. His name is Tony Arrigo. He is on East 12th Street. Tony, can you please tell us what you witnessed?
He's on East 12th Street. And this is funny. Another funny thing is the people that they talk to actually have New York accents. That's not something you don't see that much in New York anymore. Now, here, this is where the two Twin Towers were originally. This, where is this? Get this shit out of my way. This is where this is the new World Trade Center. They put it right above. This is the South Tower. That's the North Tower. He is on East 12th Street. Let's see. There's Worth. Oh, he's way up there. Okay. Houston. Okay, there's 8th Ave, 10th, 11th, 12th. He's right. He's on this street somewhere.
Tell you what happened. I was taking the garbage out of the building when we heard this roaring engines coming. We looked up and there was a plane. Next thing you know, we heard boom. We ran up to the corner and hit right into the World Trade Center.
Tony, can you tell us what kind of an airplane is it?
It had to be a 737. It had to hit the World Trade Center. It was a big, big plane.
Okay, and what do you see at this point?
Oh, smoke and screaming and, screaming engines and all the fire engines and police departments are all traveling down that way.
That's interesting. That's interesting that he knew it was a 737. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that when I was watching this last night.
My God almighty, the black smoke all over the place. I hope there's got to be somebody killed in it and poor people that went to work.
Well, Tony, we don't have any confirmation from any officials of this happening. Just repeat again, you were just going outside.
I was bringing the garbage out to the freight entrance when we heard this roaring engine. We looked up and there was the plane. Next thing we know, in a matter of seconds, we heard a boom. We went to the corner, and there it was, right in the middle of the World Trade Center.
Where are you standing right now, Tony?
I'm right in the building right now.
Okay, and what do you see at this point?
Oh, people all staring up there, looking at it and all. Oh, my God, the smoke is coming out, black billow smoke.
Okay, you can see we are physically looking at one of our sky cams right now. We can see billowing smoke from the top of the World Trade Center, Tony.
Yeah.
Are there other people that are around you at this point? Is everybody in pretty much of a state of shock?
Oh, of course they are. People are all in shock. The people in the building are in shock going out. My God almighty, this is a real disaster. This is worse than the one that hit the Empire State Building back in 1939 or 38, whenever that was.
Okay. Tony, how long ago did you witness this happening?
Oh, come on, 10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago?
That's about all.
Okay. And again, we're putting our camera in. We are pushing our camera into the top of the World Trade Center, and we can see that there appears to be some fairly significant damage to the top of it.
Oh, yes, it's got.
That's the North Tower, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you know, I gotta say, it really annoys me. It really bothers me that the Twin Towers are gone. I mean, growing up in New York, every time we went through New York City, you know, we were fixated on these buildings. They stood so much taller than everything else. And it just blew my mind. I've been up in there. Not sure if I was in the North or the South Tower. In the 3rd grade, we went to a field trip to New York City. I've been up in the Empire State Building. I went with my parents when I was a kid. Then in 3rd grade, we went on a field trip, and so I've been up in them towers, and it blew my mind to be up that high. It absolutely blew my mind.
relief.
And I went right up to the building and looked up. When you're right up close to the building and you look up, it looks like there's no end to it. You can't, it just goes on forever. It's amazing to be standing next to something that massive, that huge. You don't understand how huge these buildings are until you get up around them. They're so big. It's so amazing.
15 floors that were hit with the plane.
Tony, I'm keeping asking you to describe this for me because
Well,
as I'm
what had
telling...
happened was I was taking the garbage out of the building to go into the freight entrance to dump it. When I heard this big roaring going, what's going on? I looked up, and there's this plane zooming right over, not too high up. And then the next thing I hear in a few seconds was boom. So I ran up to the corner, and there it was, right in the middle of the World Trade Center.
Tony, we are looking at the World Trade Center as we speak. I can witness that there appears to be some things falling off of the building as we are looking at it.
It's got to hit at least 7, 8, 15 stories it had it banged into.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and it's halfway in the building.
Okay.
Look how much taller they are than everything else.
If not, very close to the top, but we can see that the building, there is a lot of structural damage and there is a lot of smoke.
Structure. Yes, ma'am. I just hope nobody. I wish they weren't there. Oh my God, this is a real disaster if anybody's gone to work.
Tony, thank you very much. We appreciate your sharing this.
You don't see many old school New Yorkers like that in New York anymore. You rarely hear that. There's no New Yorkers left in New York. What's interesting, and another interesting thing about this video is pretty much everyone they talk to's got like a heavy New York accent. My accent, when I was a kid, I sounded like these people. My accent has been watered down quite a bit from what it was when I grew up. All my family, everyone I knew had a heavy New York accent. When I heard people talking without a heavy New York accent, they sounded weird to me. They sounded like it seemed ridiculous to me that people would talk that way.
What you witnessed with us.
My pleasure. Thank you, sir. I'm at 31 East 12th Street.
Okay, Ed Buddha. Ed, can you please tell us what you witnessed?
All right, I was ready to get on the ferry, and people started yelling and screaming, and smoke and flames were coming out towards the top of the building. And I'm still on the ferry now, and I can see it.
I guess he's on the Staten Island ferry, which y'all want to see where that is. So, the Staten Island ferry goes, that's Battery Park. That's you take the ferry from Battery Park.
Smoke is coming out of both sides, so whatever went into it, it looks like it just went right through it. It's really bad. A lot of people. I just heard somebody say that they thought it was a 737 that went through the building.
Mm-hmm, but apparently we've lost our contact with Ed at this hour.
If you were on the Staten Island ferry at that time, you were right there. I mean, he was close. If he was on the Staten Island out in the water, he had an amazing view of that.
But take a look at these pictures. They are live pictures. Our Skycam that is looking at one of the World Trade Center buildings from Lower Manhattan. You can see that there has been some sort of damage to this building. At this point, we do not know exactly what happened.
Let's go ahead a little bit.
See what, if any, kind of an aircraft is inside the building. This is the best vantage point right here, and as you can see, just a huge gaping hole throughout the entire side of this tower right now.
April, can you see down to the street to see what might be?
So the other tower hasn't been hit yet. What's amazing about this footage is they catch it on accident.
Going on down there? Are there signs of the people that have evacuated the building? What can you tell? Can you see anything down there? Or are you simply not close enough at this point?
We are simply not close enough right at this point. We are following the smoke in the air right now.
At this point, they're in a helicopter. They're I think they're pretty close. At this point, no one knows what's going on exactly. To be honest, I think there's some people that knew what was going on.
Try to get a better vantage point and see what we can see on the ground. It's a little difficult from the air because the buildings kind of shadow the streets, but no doubt a lot of activity on the ground right now.
Look, you see,
And,
wait. You see this? You see that? That dot? Now, this 737 is closer than these boats. These boats must be massive because look how clearly you can see those boats. But the plane looks like a speck of dust. That's a plane coming right there. That's the one that's about to hit the South Tower. I guess that's the Hudson River back there. Or I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess that's the Hudson River. Now watch. That's the plane.
in terms of the firefighting capabilities, when you get up to this high level.
Why does it look like a dot? Why doesn't it look like a plane? You know what I mean?
I assume the firefighters have got to get up there and, you know, fight it from inside. If you're taking a look now, you...
They didn't see that plane coming. They didn't see that. They were just looking at the towers. They didn't see that. Now look at that. There's the explosion. I guess that's all the jet fuel. I don't know. Here's the thing about jet fuel. It burns fast. It's not napalm. It doesn't burn slow. If there's an explosion with the jet fuel, my assumption is it's all going to vaporize instantly. It's not going to, you know, spread itself around the building and then burn slow. No, it goes up instantly. Another strange thing is, how did a passport survive that? Didn't they find the guy's passport in the wreckage afterwards? It's like, you would think every single molecule inside that plane was vaporized in this explosion. Look, it's almost like looking at the sun or something. Look how bright.
You can see that we've just had another explosion, and that is considerably lower. And is that in the other building? Is that what I'm witnessing?
That apparently does look like it is in the other building at this point.
Let's see it again.
Streets.
Watch up in this area. Watch up there.
But no doubt a lot of activity on the ground right now.
And
there it is.
in terms of the firefighting capabilities, when you get up to this high level, I assume the firefighters have got to get up there and, you know, fight it from inside. If you're taking a look now, you can see that we've just had another explosion, and that is considerably lower. And is that in the, you know, fight it from in terms of the...
Let's see if we can see it in between the buildings. Is there any space in there? Look for any type of disturbance in here. Now there's the plane. There's the plane. It's coming in.
Firefighting capabilities, when you get up to this high level, I assume the firefighters have got to get up there and, you know, fight it from inside.
I saw something in between the buildings. It was right in this area. Right there. Now I'm going to back it up 10 seconds, and I want you to focus on this area right here.
Of the firefighting capabilities, when you get up to this high level, I assume the firefighters have got to get up there and, you know, fight it from inside.
Let's see that again.
The firefighting capabilities, when you get up to this high level, I assume the firefighters have got to get up there and...
Oh, is that a shadow maybe? Did you see this? Maybe that was the shadow coming through.
You know, fight it from inside. Abilities, when you get up to this high level, I assume the firefighters have got to get up there and, you know, fight it from inside. If you're taking a look now, you can see that we've just had another explosion, and that is considerably lower. And is that in the other building? Is that what I'm witnessing?
That That apparently does look like it is in the other building at this point.
And that looks to be lower, which means they're, you know, obviously above that explosion that we just saw. Perhaps we can get another look from one of our sky cams that can take a different angle. Yes, you can tell that it now appears that both buildings are suffering some kind of damage this morning. My colleague Glenn Walker has just joined me here in the studio. And Glenn, I don't know if you've received any other information, but perhaps you can.
They're being told in the helicopter to back off.
Again, go over what we do know at this point, which is pretty much visual and what eyewitnesses have told us.
Well, I would hate to speculate, but that looks like a completely separate incident right there. I mean, this building has been the subject of terrorist attacks in the past, and I certainly wouldn't want to speculate at this time, but that is a separate explosion.
Yes, it is.
In the other building. Now, we have tried to get a hold of the Port Authority, which manages the building. We haven't been able to get an answer. We did call MTA, and the MTA says the subway service, as of right now, is continuing, so that's not a problem because it's obviously very below, but I imagine that will change very quickly after what we just witnessed. That was a...
At this point, the trains were still running.
Dramatic explosion. Again, it was in the separate tower.
There's the Statue of Liberty. Right there.
Than the one to where the plane just crashed into about a half hour ago.
Yes, and again, there was no sign of any...
I wonder how big a 737 is next to the Statue of Liberty. I've been to the Statue of Liberty, too. I've been up in the Crown. That's a huge statue. Huge. I wonder what a 737 looks like next to the Statue of Liberty, because I gotta say, that plane looked like a dot. But it could be just the angle, because it was coming, like, almost straight at us. But I don't know.
Airplane close to that explosion, nor was there any reason to believe it would be that it could have been an after effect or a repercussion of the original, what we believe was an airplane going into one of the Twin Towers, and both of them now appear to be on fire. We have no word of casualties, injuries, fatalities. What you can see is heavy, heavy black smoke.
Now, neither of these are dead center. You know what I mean? Neither of these hits was dead center. This one was way off center. Although then again, it could have came in from the corner. If it came in from the corner, it's almost dead center. This one is not dead center. Now, I'm pretty sure this plane was coming from this direction. This plane was coming from that direction. You know, this one was coming from the north. This one was coming from the south. So this is the entrance, and this is the exit.
Can see flames. How far down do you think that goes on the second of the World Trade Center
I would say
buildings?
that is probably maybe 7, 8 floors below from where the plane crashed into the original fire that we saw in the separate building. But that, as I said, it just looked like an explosion. It had nothing to do with the plane crashing into the first building.
Exactly, and of course there are thousands of employees in those buildings. It is a regular work day. We have no information about anybody who is inside there and what kind of shape they might be in. We, at this point, are seeking confirmation of exactly what happened, particularly what just happened with this second apparent explosion. And I don't even know.
We're going to look at the tape of this last explosion. Maybe we.
This is where they realize that they actually have the plane on camera.
We can pick up something here. As we said, we were talking about what was going on. And then suddenly there was a big explosion in the second building.
There it is.
There it is right there.
Seems to be completely unrelated to the first one.
I didn't catch it, but I have to say it looks like something went into the building.
Yes,
possibly another airplane.
Well, perhaps from the other side, because we've only got the one vantage point here. What we can tell you about the building on the right is that eyewitnesses have told us that, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
we have another witness on the phone. Arlene Morris, are you there?
I am.
Can you tell us what you saw?
Yes, I was sitting at my desk and I heard this big boom, a loud sound. And when I looked out the window, the top floor on the World Trade Center, there's flames just coming down, crashing down to the ground on the west side. All the cars, and they were like running into each other, and the flames just started coming down real hard. Then another sound exploded again. Another impact.
What building are you in? How far away?
I'm in the World Finance Center, but my windows is opposite side to the World Trade Center. I'm in the C Tower.
Did you just...
Oh, she's at the World Trade Center. She is in one of the buildings, the C Tower. Y'all wanna let's see what that is exactly. Let's see if we can see a C Tower. View file. Well, I would maybe the C tower would be 3 A B C 1 2 3. So that being the case, if that's the case, this is where she was, which means that plane flew in from this direction, I think. And could you imagine being in that building? That's unbelievable.
See another explosion
No,
or
I
hear?
heard it because I'm holding on the phone with you. So I heard another big boom again. It just exploded again.
Do you see people leaving the building?
We left. Everybody left already. I'm the only one here on my floor. I gotta get out.
But
I mean, could you imagine? I find that a little hard to believe. Maybe I'm paranoid. I don't know, but everyone left the building except her to sit there and talk to the news people. If that's the case, you're a dummy.
what can you tell us about the build? Can you see people on the ground from the two?
At the bottom, yes, and then the fire brigade, and they came. Everything else, they're downstairs there right now.
Do you see people that are injured? What can you?
No, I can't. I'm on the 28th floor.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's minute to my vision. I really can't see too much.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Arlene, and please get out of that building and
Thank
seek
you.
safety.
I'm leaving right now. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, be safe. We have another
you.
witness, Janice Huff, on the telephone. I'm not sure if it's our Janice Huff, but she apparently was a witness to the second explosion.
You saw this? Where are you?
No. Listen, I'm watching TV right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I can see the pictures that we have of the building, the first building, the one with the tower on the top.
Now, if they had it from this angle, why not show it from other angles?
And as I'm watching it and you're talking, I see a plane flying behind the other tower. And I see it getting closer and closer to the building, and I'm thinking, is that a plane? And it was. And all of a sudden, I see this explosion in the other tower. So there was another plane.
So there was another plane with a second
explosion. From what I am looking at on television, from the angle that I was looking.
Here's a replay right here, I believe.
When I was watching this.
Once again, look around this area. You'll see it come in.
Looking at the first tower, I noticed that there was a small plane coming around the side of the building.
There it is.
You see it there on the right?
I see it. I see
so
it.
It's coming
I do
down
see
and
it
say,
right
that
there.
plane is
There it is right there.
I see it.
And then it goes boom, right there. Watch.
That's
there it is.
You're absolutely right.
See it?
I see it.
Looking at the first tower, I noticed that there was a small plane coming around the side of the building. You see it there on the right?
I see it. I see
so
it.
It's coming
I do
down
see
and
it
say,
right
that
there.
plane is
There it is right there.
I see it.
And then it goes boom, right there. Watch.
That's
there it is.
You're absolutely right.
She said it was a small plane. It must have been small. Look at the boats in the background. I thought planes were bigger than boats. I don't know. Like, those boats out in the water in New York, they're all various sizes, but...
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
So I don't know if it's... Looking at the first tower, I noticed that there was a small plane coming around the side of the
Looks pretty small to me. I don't know.
building. You see it there on the right?
I
You
see it.
Now, this plane is way closer than these boats. These boats are way off in the distance, far away. Those boats must be massive. Because look at the plane next to the boat. You got to realize this plane is miles closer.
I see
so
it.
it's
I
coming
do
down.
see
I'm
it
saying
right
that
there.
plane is too,
There it is right there.
I see it.
and then it goes boom, right there. Watch.
That's
there it is.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, my goodness.
So I don't know if it's a helicopter or a plane, but it was certainly flying, and it went right into the building.
It was a plane.
Can we show that again, please? I clearly did not notice that the first time.
Right.
I think we need to take a look at that again.
I mean, you would think if you were looking at a building and a 737 came in the background and rammed into it, how can you not notice that? And it's barely noticeable. It looks like a dot. I don't know. But then you see the footage from the ground and all that. I don't know. A lot of strange. It's shit. There's so much strange stuff around this event.
You know, obviously, what we are looking at are the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in flames. We know nothing yet about the number of people, or what has exactly happened there. We can only tell you what we have witnessed and what eyewitnesses have told us. Now, here we're going to look at this tape again. Here it comes.
I think we definitely have to open this up to speculation. This could be a deliberate attack.
Yes.
At
Okay.
this
Now,
point.
up on the right-hand side of our.
This could definitely, two planes hit the two. I mean, you think maybe? Yeah. I mean, I get it though. Everyone's in a state of panic at this point. I don't, nobody knows what's going on at this point.
Screen. Let's take a look, and we will show you what Janice has pointed out to us. There it comes. It's not in the
not in there
screen
yet.
yet.
It's coming in the screen now. There it is, that black dot.
It's not on the screen yet.
Up
There
on
it
top.
is.
There it is. You see it coming
Do
down.
you see that coming in? You can see that. It looks.
It goes between the two buildings.
And it's coming right for
And right
it.
there.
Yep.
Right there. There it is.
There.
It's right for it.
Obviously, we know nothing more than what we're looking at. We should tell you at this point that all three New York City airports have been shut down. We know nothing about who or what might be responsible if indeed this was an attack. Again, we've had eyewitnesses on the telephone talking about the first explosion. We had two people that told us that they saw an airplane, medium-sized airplane, going into the first tower, and then we just showed you what we saw
all
on
saw
the
that.
videotape.
Yes. Let's go to April and Monica up in Chopper 4 with some more information.
So there's the entrance and the exit on that one. Looks like it was pretty far off center. This one was pretty far off center too. It looks from this angle, you don't know.
It was very clear that a plane.
All right, I'm going to skip forward to this. This is a very interesting part.
Okay, we have another reporter out on the street, Walter Perez. Can you hear us, Walter?
Here we are about 2 blocks away from... Okay, 2 blocks away from where the whole thing happened, and this entire area has been cordoned off, and people that have been working in nearby buildings have been told to evacuate. That's what this
Very interesting, this part.
mass exodus is to my left-hand side. To my right, we have 2 witnesses, and as we speak with you two, we're going to pan up and show a shot of what we see from this vantage point. First, Marna Ringel. And Marna, you work across the street. Tell me exactly what you saw on the street, and as you looked up, what you saw, because you said you saw the second one. Am I correct?
No, I didn't see the second one. I actually was coming out of the building, and there was maybe about 30 or 40 people at the bottom of One World Financial covered in blood. I did not expect that at all, and I work for Lehman in One right here, and a gentleman that I work with was on the telephone. He said, "What was that?" I said, he thought it was thunder. I looked over, screamed, "It's a bomb," because I saw a piece of the building flow down, and I think I scared my entire floor because I can scream pretty loud, and it was pretty bad.
Now, you mentioned that you saw people on the road outside of the building. Explain that scene.
I saw there's maybe about 30 or 40 people covered with bandages and blood. It looks like a lot of them were either on the floor of one of the exchanges. There's actually, oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
We're not sure exactly what happened, but it was another explosion on the far side of one of the buildings from where we're standing.
South Tower just collapsed.
The reverberation and another explosion on the right-hand side. Another building has gone up on the right.
Look at the amount of smoke coming out of there. That it's covering so much area. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but you're talking blocks of, if you were in there, you'd for blocks all around you, you'd see nothing but you couldn't breathe that shit in. That you'd be it would really do a lot of damage if you were in that area, just breathing all that in.
Right-hand side of the road, people are now running down the street. We're not sure if that was another explosion or if that was advanced debris. Joining me also is Jim Plant.
I mean, you're talking about clouds of smoke that are standing, you know, what is that, 30 stories high, 20, 30 stories high? I don't know. Maybe more.
Jim, you're also a witness of what happened. Tell me exactly what you saw from your vantage point across the street.
I was just across Liberty and West here, and I saw the second plane hit the Tower 2. Looked like a 737. It hit a glancing blow, didn't hit it direct. I don't know where the rest of the plane went, but it went in, fireball came out, and it hit lower than the first plane, which hit the upper floors.
Jim, thank you very much. At this point, as you can tell, there's absolute pandemonium in this area because of what had just happened. Exactly what, I can't confirm, but on the far side of the building, there seemed to be another explosion, and also on the right-hand side, there was also another explosion.
They don't even realize that the South Tower collapsed. They think it was another explosion. Look at that.
Not sure if that was extra reverberation from what happened at the World Trade Center or if that was an added explosion. At this point, there's a lot of smoke, massive plumes of smoke falling from the building across the street. People that were running down the street or walking are now running away. We don't have any information as far as what the most recent reverberations were, but from 2 blocks away, you could feel what happened. We'll get more information and pass it along to you.
All right, thank you very much, Walter. Again, 1 or 2 more explosions again around the World Trade Center. We don't know if it was in the same building or adjacent buildings.
Can we re-rack that video that we were looking at as Walter was interviewing?
They still don't know that that tower is gone. They just, because, you know, they think it's just obscured by the smoke. They still don't know.
Those people, because perhaps that will give us some indication of what this was. Obviously, there are buildings nose to nose down there.
Yes.
We have no idea if this was a third explosion or if it might have been something from the debris raining down from one of the World Trade Center towers. It appears to be to the south of those buildings, but take a look at those pictures, and that is quite an incredible.
Look at that. It looks like a nuclear bomb went off or something. Look at that. I mean, that's the whole southern tip of Manhattan. It's just covered in smoke right there.
Site.
Again, this all started this morning. What about?
Although I guess that's dust mostly, or I don't know. What is that? Smoke? Dust? Like?
About 10 minutes to 9 o'clock, we understand that a commercial airliner, maybe a small commercial airliner, was apparently hijacked leaving the airport in Boston, Logan Airport in Boston, and slammed into one of the towers. About 18 minutes later.
Let's look for a street sign. I want to know where they are. Look how beautiful that day. Well, what a beautiful day it was. September in New York City is a beautiful time of year, I gotta say.
A second commercial airliner, which witnesses tell us was much bigger, slammed into the second tower. Soon after that, we heard from President Bush that said this was an apparent terrorist attack. Not long after he talked, a plane crashed very close to the Pentagon. From what we understand, down in the nation's capital, the White House, the U.S. Capitol, and the State Department have all been evacuated, and that the Secret Service did receive a very real threat that the White House would also suffer the same fate as the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, which has not happened yet, and we hope it doesn't. And, of course, all commercial traffic around the United States has been shut down.
Air traffic.
Yes.
Commercial air traffic.
All commercial air traffic.
Joining us now is Jim Rosenfield, who's been up
I mean, when you're down in the financial district, I know this
in the newsroom. Do you have anything you can add?
You know, this building is huge. You know what I mean? Look how huge the Twin Towers were.
Do all of
well,
this?
just, you know, in getting here to...
What a kick in the nuts this whole thing was. It really annoys me, man. The whole thing annoys me.
Rockefeller Center this morning to share with you, because you've been here in the studio, just the scenes on the street,
Yeah.
People on their cell phones trying to find out what's going on, people calling loved ones trying to find out if they're okay. As you walk into this building, a lot of people out on the street not being permitted to go up and...
Looks like the apocalypse. Look at that.
and down through most of the elevators for security reasons. Obviously, as we think about the landmarks in Manhattan, people are taking very serious security precautions just for that reason. A lot of emotions I should share with you up in the newsroom, too, as we hear these just gut-wrenching eyewitness accounts of what these people must be going through, especially in the Twin Towers right now. Just amazing.
We have just been told that this, what we thought was another explosion, was indeed, according to the Associated Press, another building that has either been attacked or exploded. So it appears to be separate from the two that we have already witnessed this morning. And if you take a look at this scene right now, the smoke that is billowing over Lower Manhattan is truly a frightening sight to see. Again, the part that I think concerns all of us is that we have no knowledge of what happened to the people who might have been inside any of those buildings. It's a normal workday. And
now they're looking from, that's the Empire State Building. That's around 35th Street or somewhere around 35th Street. Maybe this camera's in Times Square, which is probably around 40-something Street. It's looking down past the Empire State Building.
At this point, as we gather more information and we're sure we're settled where we're supposed to stop, we'll get back to you, because at this point police are still not sure where we should be. And as you can see, a lot of police activity. They're trying to move the media to a safe area so we can do proper reporting and let everybody know exactly what's going on. For now, back to you.
Walter, have they given you any indication? I'm sorry, he can't hear me. All right. We simply do not know who has been hurt and what casualties might have occurred, which is the information that we are. I want you to take a look at what's happening right now. That is a live picture.
That's
a live picture too. That's World Trade Center 2 has just collapsed.
That's the second of the towers to collapse.
Watch her reaction. She glitches when it's happening. It's like her brain can't even process what her eyes are seeing when she's in the middle of talking.
Any indication? I'm sorry, he can't hear me. All right. We simply do not know who has been hurt and what casualties might have occurred, which is the information that we are. I want you to take a look at what's happening right now. That is a live picture.
That's
a live picture too. That's World Trade Center 2 has just collapsed.
That's the second of the towers to collapse.
We are now looking at the collapse of the second of the World Trade Center towers. Again, this is something that we never dreamed we would witness in our lifetime. Let us tell you that to come into this city right now, you will not be able to. The bridges, the tunnels, shut down. Subway lines, trains, pretty much closed. The New York Stock Exchange.
Just a moment ago, the entire top of the building collapsed. You can see a massive plume of smoke. People are running away from the area. There are firefighters and there are police trying to evacuate the area as quickly as possible.
I wonder where exactly he is. I think he's around maybe Soho.
People who are near the area are in an absolute frenzied situation. The entire top of the building just collapsed. You can see the plume of smoke is coming in our direction. Let's get out of here, Ralph. We're going to leave because the smoke is coming right at us.
Obviously, this is a devastating.
Look at that. The whole southern section of Manhattan is covered in smoke.
Gone.
In our history.
They're gone. The World Trade Center is no more.
We do not know at this point the extent of injuries or casualties, how many people were in these buildings.
There it is. It's coming right up to where they were. I wish I knew exactly where they were. This is not my part of Manhattan, you know.
Trying to get out. We've seen some gut-wrenching descriptions, witness accounts of people hanging out of windows, jumping, trying to get to safety.
You see the obvious.
Look at.
I would not be walking. I'd be running.
The plume.
All right, let's go to NBC News right now.
We are back at 10:30 Eastern Time on this Tuesday morning. This horrific, incredible.
So yeah, I can't tell exactly. Wall Street, all that. It's all in a cloud of smoke right now. Probably Chinatown. I don't know. I don't know if it's reached as far as Washington Square Park at this point.
Not to be believed. Tuesday morning, you are looking at live pictures of the World Trade Center where just a few minutes ago, within the last minute actually, the second Twin Tower collapsed. Just to recap, if you're just joining us, around 8:42 Eastern time this morning here in New York City.
Look at that. Battery Park. It's all just, look at it. It looks like the whole island of Manhattan from this angle has been erased.
Plane crashed into the right Twin Tower of the World Trade Center about 2/3 of the way up the building, leaving a huge gaping hole, a huge fire, and tons of billowing smoke. About 25 minutes later, a second jet, believed to be a 727 or a 737,
some reports of a 757 even,
then crashed in the second Twin Tower. The first plane, incidentally, was en route from Boston, Massachusetts to Los Angeles.
Here's the video, I think, of the second plane striking the tower.
That's right. We're not sure the origin of that plane, is my understanding. The first plane that caused that hole on the right-hand side in the other Twin Tower was from Boston to LAX to Los Angeles. It was Flight 11, American Airlines. We have confirmed.
Okay, there's the Empire State Building, which is around 30-something street, so I don't know. It's hard to tell.
That plane was hijacked. What happened following the hijack?
What's funny is if I was in Manhattan at this time and I was doing my thing, I could have potentially been in Washington Square Park, which means I would have been watching. You can clearly see the World Trade Center from Washington Square Park. And I mean, it's, you can see it very clearly. If you go on my Instagram, I got a picture of the new World Trade Center from the arch in Washington Square Park.
Hijacking, rather, is unclear. We should note that about an hour after the first collision at the Pentagon, reportedly another plane crashed into the Pentagon, which is just outside Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia. All air traffic has been stopped.
Government buildings have been evacuated, as have other buildings across the country. The Sears Tower in...
I guess we're about done with this video. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Let's go to this real quick.
These are the emergency workers who are coming back. It was just about 10 minutes ago that we described to you the possibility of that North Tower collapsing. About 5 minutes after we went off the air, it did collapse. Once again, we have no idea at this point the loss of life. I can only tell you there were hundreds of emergency workers down there, about 5 or 6 blocks. It took probably about, I would say, no more than 50 or 60.
FDNY, covered in debris. A lot of these people ended up getting sick from all that, all the asbestos and all that.
60 seconds.
Some of them caught diseases, died.
For that dust cloud, dust and smoke, to literally make it the 5 or 6 blocks up here and begin to envelop us, at which point we started to move out of the way.
Oh, they're only 5 or 6 blocks away.
There were literally dozens and dozens of firemen who were trying to run past us. In fact, our cameraman even put one of the captains in his car and drove him down to a command post. The people who you see here are pretty much all emergency workers. Many of them that I have seen in the last 2 to 3 minutes, quite frankly, are coming out of here. And remember this, these are professionals. They're coming out of there looking literally stunned, in shock, many of them, struggling for breath, obviously in serious distress. Breathing problems are the biggest problem for those who manage to make it safely out of that area down below us. You can't see much more than a block south of me right now. And the World Trade Center probably stands about 10 blocks south of where I am at this moment.
10 blocks south. Let's see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess they're somewhere in this area, which means where's Washington Square Park? Oh, all right. No, there's no way it reached Washington Square Park. They're up around Worth. You ever seen Gangs of New York, that movie? That's Worth Street. The 5 Points is around here somewhere. It's very different. The whole area is very different now. I've been there. But yeah, they're about there. So this whole, from there down, was just all covered in smoke and debris, pretty much.
And as you can see now, the dust is beginning to pick up here. It really depends on which way the wind blows as to whether or not we get heavy dust or not. But at this point, I can tell you that in the first few minutes, emergency workers were trying just basically to get out of there, to survive. You could see that written in their faces. The situation was so desperate, they just wanted to get out of there. Now, many of them are beginning to regroup. A couple of them asked me where their commander might be. They're trying to get together and go back in there and try to take care of the people who obviously are in serious trouble. There's no other way to describe it. The language here, at times, if I slip into language which seems a little melodramatic, forgive me, but this is a circumstance which is very, very difficult to describe in many ways without sounding melodramatic. Certainly in more than 20 years of covering horrific events, this is something that I've never seen before. As we say, the emergency workers now beginning to try to gather themselves. Over there you can see a police emergency service unit. They're trying basically now to reestablish some kind of a safe perimeter. And many of the emergency workers basically just happy to be alive. Certainly that picture tells it all. Many of them just happy to be alive at this point, having survived what is an extraordinary event, the collapse of 2 towers. As we said earlier in our
Right on the front of their helmets, it should say which engine company. I can't read any of the numbers. But these, I'm guessing these are mostly Manhattan firemen. Right? I'm pretty sure all the firemen in all the 5 boroughs were called to this area, except maybe Staten Island. But, you know, they called in everyone. You know what I mean?
110 stories each. I will tell you that what I saw fall had to be at least 40, 50 stories of that building at first. The skeleton was left at about, I would say, the 50 or 60th floor after the shell, after the structure of the building fell down. The skeleton, the steel skeleton.
Train going by.
Was literally sheaved off, and it took probably about another 30 seconds before the skeleton collapsed into the street. That was the last we saw of the World Trade Center, and that was maybe 10 minutes ago when that final skeleton, the metal skeleton, steel skeleton, collapsed into the street.
That was NBC's Pat Dawson again. He's standing about 10 blocks from where the World Trade Center towers used to stand. You're looking at the collapse of one of those towers right now. We now have an AP News alert.
From the way that collapsed, you would think that the plane hit dead center. It fell so perfectly. I don't know. I'm not a structural engineer. I'm sure there's plenty of videos on YouTube about it if you can find them.
Alert out of Pittsburgh. Officials at Somerset County Airport are confirming the crash of a large plane just north of the airport. That's about 80 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. Again, officials at Somerset County Airport confirmed the crash of a large plane north of that airport, which is located about 80 miles to the southeast of the city of Pittsburgh. We do not know whether that crash of that plane is related to what has become an obvious terrorist attack both here in New York City and in Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon.
Matt, we just got a late word that State Department security officials are denying those reports of a car bomb at the State Department. Betsy Stewart is at the C Street entrance and also says there's no sign of a car bomb. Betsy Stewart is one of our producers who's very familiar with the State Department. The building has been evacuated. Top officials are still believed.
I guess that's the end of this video. I'm going to try to edit it real quick and throw it up. But, you know, rest in peace to everyone who died that day, and in all the conflicts afterwards, all over the world. I've heard millions of Iraqis died, all the soldiers, all the firemen. Rest in peace to everybody. I don't know. I guess, yeah, I'm gonna end this video. It's been like an hour and 10 minutes. I'm gonna edit this down. I don't want an hour video up, but appreciate every single one of you. I'll see y'all in the next one.